What's up gamers, Dreamcast Guy here, and this is Raw Reviews, a series where I take an unscripted look at something in gaming. And this week, I actually wanted to take a look at the RetroN 5. This is something I bought myself just for my own birthday, because it's something I'd heard a lot about, but I wanted to test it. Basically, it's a retro console that can play a bunch of different systems, and it can output in 1080p, which is really the main allure of it. It can play the Nintendo, Super Famicom, which is the Japanese Super Nintendo, the Genesis, the Mega Drive, the Famicom, which is the Japanese Nintendo, Game Boy, Game Boy Color, and Game Boy Advanced. As you can tell by the wall behind me, I have all those systems, and I have tons and tons of games for all those systems, especially Game Boy. I have a huge Game Boy collection. The system itself, I'm unplugging it right here, because this is literally how unscripted I do this. The system itself, as you can see, is kind of weird looking. That's your power button. And it has a ton of different slots. And what's weird is that it doesn't seem like it's actually reading the games itself. Instead, what it's doing is it's like scanning the entire thing. Like in this case, I was playing Streets of Rage last night. And that's my biggest qualm with it, is this thing like basically eats your game. When you put it in there, like getting it out is very hard. This thing really holds on to it. So when you put your game in the system, it scans the entire game, puts it in the system, and then runs it as a ROM. So it doesn't feel like it's actually running anything off the cartridge itself. I bet you could probably remove it. Now, Genesis games stick the least. The games that stick the worst, and this is by far my biggest qualm, is Super Nintendo games. So here's Final Fantasy VI, called in America Final Fantasy III. Okay, so now it's in there. As you can see, let me just pull that out. Literally, that's how hard it is. The other big issue with this device is it seems to have a weird problem where if it doesn't 100% instantly recognize the entire ROM that it's trying to dump off the cartridge, it'll just say unknown cartridge. It won't even attempt to recognize it. It will just basically tell you it doesn't exist. Now this annoyed me because I collect repros. Now, if you're not really big in the retro gaming community, a repro is a reproduction cartridge. This is something somebody's made on their own. It's totally a homemade game. Like this is the Japanese version of Final Fantasy II that somebody translated into English and then put in a cartridge. When I put it in this, it will act like I am just batshit insane for trying to put a non-existent game in the system. Okay, well now that I've given you a rundown of the system itself, let's click over to some gameplay and you can just see how clean this freaking thing runs. So, as you can see, this is actually the screen you see when you first turn the console on. Right now I have nothing in it. I've grabbed one random Genesis game and one random Game Boy Advance game, and we're just going to right now test them both out and see how they both play. So I got Vector Man 2 here. Let me just roll over here. Now normally it's doing that. That's where it's dumping the ROM. Unknown cartridge. Now it says that, but let's see if it actually is an unknown cartridge. Occasionally it will be like, nope, that doesn't exist, but it actually does. See, this cartridge is not recognized by the RetroN 5 and may actually suck ass, but let's try it anyways. Nope, it looks like it's going to refuse to run it. So we're gonna pull that out real quick. This is kind of the biggest problem with the system overall, is sometimes you can't tell. Oh, boom. See, okay, so I'm actually, for this demonstration, I'm using the really funky built-in RetroN controller. Vector Man 2. What do you want to be the start button, damn it? Oh, I have to press start. Okay. We're going to skip that opening movie. Geronimo! Okay, so I think control works pretty damn well. I have noticed that there's some sort of sound layering issue. Like, it won't quite properly... Like, if there's supposed to be, like, 5 different tones that are playing simultaneously that mix together for a certain tone, it just won't do it right. So, like, background music in Tetris Attack will randomly get super quiet or something. Oh, screw all you motherfuckers. Okay, so now the other thing that this console does really, really well is, hold on, let me go ahead and float down to the landing so I can mess with the controls. Whee! God damn, I still love these graphics. Like, I know these probably look terribly old to most people, but I like them. Okay, so, now that I'm on the ground, I can open up this menu. Now, this is the special RetroN 5 menu, and you notice that I actually have filters on. So, these are like your different kinds of emulator filters that will make it look different. So, this is actually what it looks like completely raw. This is literally like the raw, completely raw programming of a Genesis just put up to 1080p. Not great, but not terrible. But then I can turn on, there we go, 2SLA, whatever the hell that means. Super Eagle, that sounds fancy. I haven't read up on exactly what all these different filters mean, but they just seem to be the different programming teams' types of, I'm sure they're like resolution names, and someone's going to make fun of me in the comments, but that's that. Okay, so now let's quit out, and we're going to test out a Game Boy Advance game next. Well, return to main menu, goddammit. I'm still not used to the controller that comes with this machine. Doesn't really have any like button names. Instead, it's a bunch of just like random symbols like arrows and pluses and minuses. Okay, we're gonna put in Fire Emblem, the Sacred Stones, which is like American Fire Emblem 2. And I think Japanese Fire Emblem 19. No cart inserted. Are you sure about that? Let me try that again. Well, the cartridges that seem to load the slowest are these Game Boy Advanced ones. I'm not sure why that is. I'd always read that the Game Boy Advance was basically just a microchip version of the Super Nintendo on the go. So it's weird that it would take this long to basically run a smaller Super Nintendo game. Come on, RetroN, I believe in you. This is what annoys me the most, because I really like, I love the Game Boy Advanced. Performing initial save import. Initial save port from cartridge complete. Okay, cool. So that means that it will actually remember how far I am. It not only downloaded the entire game, but it also downloaded how far I am, which is great because I play a lot of Game Boy Advanced. I don't ever really mention that in videos, but I really like the Game Boy Advanced. I guess it doesn't friggin' import my save file. Maybe I have to load save slot 0 save state slot save state. Okay, so I have no idea. See, this, I haven't quite figured out what makes it. I've literally not been able to get a single Game Boy Advance game to actually save properly unless I use the save states. It sure does look freaking gorgeous, though. Okay, so that is some serious gameplay. So let's go back to the office and I'll give you some raw thoughts on what I think of it as a whole. Overall, the RetroN 5 is a very interesting system, but I feel like it's a luxury collector item. If you have a big retro collection and you really want something extra to play all your games on, get it for that. Get it because it upscales so cleanly. I mean, you saw that gameplay. It was freaking crisp. It's also cool that you can use all your original controllers on the system. That's a smart idea. Or if you want, they did have this weird wireless built-in controller. This is automatically compatible and like you can hear the thumbstick. It's really weird, but it's interesting. If you got some extra money laying around or you plan on doing some retro Let's Plays, this device is worth it. But really, it's kind of a glorified emulator. Thanks so much for watching, guys. If you enjoyed this raw review, feel free to subscribe, or go over to my main channel and subscribe there, or do whatever you want. It's a free country. You probably heard dogs barking in planes. I'm recording this at like 7 a.m. because I can't sleep. What am I doing?